Good evening, guys. It is April 7th, 2023. On this video here, I want to answer a common question that I get, and I think a lot of us get in the vacuum cleaner community, and that is, why do we like vacuum cleaners? What got us interested in them? Like, why are they so fascinating to us? Well, for me, why is it so fascinating for me? What interests me about them? That is a very interesting question because honestly, I don't really have a straight answer for that, other than, I'll explain a few things that I know really interest me. First of all, I started with my interest in vacuum cleaners like 20 years ago. Okay, like a long time ago. I was about 2 or 3 years old, and I've always been fascinated with these machines. I've thought that they are a very fun and cool machine to use. I've always been interested in how they work. I have always been interested in the different designs of different machines, of different things like that. The ability to clean stuff up. I've always enjoyed cleaning to an extent. So, and I've always been mechanically minded. And so it started about 2 or 3 years old for me. My parents had a Eureka Victory World Vac, I believe, that they had. Honestly, I don't remember them not having that before that, so I'm assuming that it was probably a wedding present or something like that for them, or they just bought it, before I was born. I don't know, but yeah. So that was the machine that started it all for me. I always liked watching my dad vacuum with it. My dad was a stay-at-home dad for the first 7 years of my life, and for about the first 5, 6 years of my life, my dad always did all the vacuuming, which, I mean, at that age, it's kind of hard to vacuum yourself. I'm sure I did a little bit, just having fun. But, a little kid, trying to vacuum and actually do it well, that's just not going to happen, right? And so, yeah, that started it all for me. And then, my grandmother actually had a few machines. First of all, she had a white, I can't remember exactly if it was a Regina Housekeeper or if it was a Electrolux Discovery or something like that. Um, I think it was one of those. I want to say it was Regina, housekeeper. Um, I did not know what that was until like just recently because they're just not common anymore. But I've seen them in the vacuum collectors community, and it just screams, my grandmother's old machine, uh, very loudly. So I'm pretty sure that's what she had. If it wasn't that, it was definitely an Electrolux or something along those lines, upright. And I was interested with that. My grandmother always let me vacuum her house anytime I was over. I mean, she she knew I enjoyed it and everything like that. And then she had this brown Eureka Mighty Mite. So like the really old ones, from the 80s or something. That I remember she let me play with that thing. I mean, it was out in her shed. Um, you know, for years. I mean, it was still there the last time I was there, which was back in 2020, I believe. Uh, yeah, 2020. And, unfortunately, she's passed on now. But, my aunt still, has possession of the property and stuff. So I did, you know, let my aunt know that, if it's possible, I would like, that machine to be saved for me because that has a lot of childhood memories. But that's getting off topic a little bit. Um, Basically, that machine, I remember anytime I ever touched it, it never had like the wands or the floor tool or anything like that. I think the last time I was there, I saw them in my grandmother's bedroom closet, but you know, I had never seen them before that. It was basically just the curved wand or hose end, um, and an upholstery nozzle. Which I mean, the hose end and the wands were all like steel, so you know that was back when Eureka Mighty Mites were like absolute tanks. And so I played with that. My grandmother lived in a double wide mobile home um, my whole life. Um, and she actually had, like, if you ever seen mobile homes, you know that, they have these porches on them, and sometimes they have, like, this outdoor carpet type stuff on them. Well, that's exactly what she had. Well, I got to, vacuum all that carpet up, several times when I was, when I was a kid. Got to play with it and kind of do that, as well as vacuum her car with this little Eureka Mighty Mite. Um, I mean, this thing was a tank. I mean, you'd think the Eureka Mighty Mite that I have now is pretty sturdy. It's not even close to what my grandmother's was. Not even in the slightest. Um, so, but yeah, so that's basically what kind of started it. And then about 5, about when I was about like 4 or 5 years old, she had gotten a Eureka Boss Power Plus. I'm not sure if you remember those kinds that took the Eureka style J bags and had kind of like a little bit of an interesting design for that time period or whatever. That's basically what she had. And she replaced the Regina Housekeeper or Electrolux or whatever it was with that machine. And she had it for, oh, probably a good 10 years at least. And then she said she was having difficulty pushing it and stuff as she was getting older, and she eventually replaced it with a Shark Navigator Liftaway Deluxe. You know, I believe in like 2014 or something like that. So basically, those were the 3 machines that or the 4 machines I kind of grew up around. I grew up mostly with Eureka. Anytime my parents bought a vacuum cleaner, I mean, they always bought a Eureka. I mean, that's pretty much all I remember. They did buy a Kirby once, and they had that for 5 years, and then when we downsized, they decided to give it to somebody and stuff, but and then they bought another Eureka. So mainly I've been raised with Eurekas, and you know, nowadays Eureka is just not at all what it used to be. So but back in the day when I was a kid, they were good. I mean, they were pretty darn good. So but yeah, so that's what started it. And I've always been fascinated with the machines themselves, the way they operate, and I've always found vacuuming just to be calming. I mean, it soothes me. It kind of just, I don't know, there's something satisfying about it, something interesting about it. And you know, I try to keep machines running as long as I can because I enjoy them. You know, I don't like machines being thrown away or whatever. So yeah, that's basically some of the backstory. And then, of course, you know, I've over the years had experience, you know, with vacuuming churches and stuff with sanitaires and certain machines like that, off and on. And I was never really a collector per se up until about 2017. I just never really thought about collecting too much. I mean, I've had like little vacuums here and there that, were given to me as gifts and stuff as a kid. I mean, I had a small stick vac, that I got for my birthday when I was 9, I believe. Um, I don't have that anymore, but um, yeah. So I've had little machines here and there, but I haven't necessarily collected vacuums until 2017, and um, the first vacuum I had ever really bought was the Shark Navigator DLX, model number NV70, and that was the first machine that I had bought with my own money, um, and I don't have that anymore. Honestly, like, they're nice machines, but I don't like how high maintenance they are, and the fact that you can't really get into them or get parts for them. I just don't like that. So I ended up giving it to a friend because, I had some other machines, but I bought that machine back in 2014, brand new at Target, um, for I think $130. Um, and then, about, I think it was November of 2017, or no, before that, I had actually found a Bissell Aeroswift compact vacuum in the trash at the neighbor's. It's in really good shape, just needs to be cleaned out. They were only throwing it out because it was clogged, and that was about it. And so I had that as my upstairs vac in this house. And for just a short time. And then I got a Eureka Boss Smart Vac 4870 at Goodwill for $10 in November of 2017. And then I got the Kirby Ultimate G for $100 back in 2017 at a pawn shop. And then after that, I had got the Sanitaire. You all know the story behind the Sanitaire, but basically the short version of it is it had a bad motor. It was used commercially in a church, and the person didn't want to put any money into it to get it fixed. So she let me have it, and I put a new motor in it and everything like that. Got it going again, and I decided to keep it, and I still have it right now. Then in April of 2019, I had bought the Auric XL Signature 2, which is back there in the background if you can see it, for $25 at a pawn shop. And then, fast forward a couple of years, actually, then after that Oric, I had bought the Eureka Mighty Mite that I have, the yellow one, for about $70 back in July of 2019. And then I fast forward a couple years, I got the Hoover wind tunnel that I have downstairs. Got that for about $15 at Goodwill. And then in June of 2021, I traded the Eureka the Boss SmartVac 4870 for the Kirby G5 back there. And yeah, that was about it. And then just recently, in March of 2023, I got the Bissell Power Force bagged 1739. So honestly, like, I never intended to necessarily be a vacuum cleaner collector. It just kind of like took off because I was thinking to myself, like, I would like to, restore vacuum cleaners, work on vacuum cleaners. And I had started with the Bissell Aeroswift Compact that I had found in the trash. Well, I have found probably about 5 or 6 vacuum cleaners on my street of 15 houses alone. And I have basically cleaned them up, turned them around, and donated them or something like that. Basically, I've donated them. I mean, some of them I've given to friends, some of them I've just given to Goodwill. And yeah, those trash picked vacuums have basically been all in between all these other machines that I've had. I also got a Kirby Model 512 for Christmas of last year, of 2022. So, and that was unexpected. I find it very interesting to have in my, I guess, collection. I mean, I never intended to collect vacuum cleaners, but after, finding some good ones and then, becoming more interested in them and everything like that, and then having my own bedroom, which I never had my own bedroom until I was 18. I always shared a room with my brother. And so, like, it's not like I had, like, all the space in the world to collect vacuums or even the money to do so. It just wasn't a thing, and it honestly wasn't even a thought up until, the last 5-6 years. And so, so basically, the collecting kind of just started from finding, good older machines repairing them, learning more about them, working on them. I've serviced vacuum cleaners for other people. I've had people ask me to service and fix their vacuums for them. I've done that probably for, let's see, I think 3 or 4 different people at this point. Um, and it's just interesting because I couldn't tell you exactly what it is that interests me in vacuum cleaners, um, other than they're an appliance that does something that I like a lot, which is clean. And I love appliances, I love cleaning, and um, I love the feeling of being able to um, vacuum up dirt, get rid of, the dirt out of my carpets, out of my floors, and, throwing it away and getting rid of it. Um, that's just always satisfying for me. Um, and I've always liked other machines too, washers and dryers and dishwashers and um, fans and things like that. But my primary interest has been vacuum cleaners, and um, it's been a passion of mine for many, many years. Like I've said, um, I've just always been fascinated with them, and I don't know exactly what it stems from. I don't know if it's the autism side of me. I don't know if it is just something um, that just developed. I don't know. I mean, I couldn't tell you. Um, but regardless, um, it's something that I've enjoyed for many, many years. And it's not been something that I've really thought was something that was normal, because I didn't meet really anybody who enjoyed vacuum cleaners quite like I did, ever, until, I saw a lot of other collectors online. Um, I might have met one other person, personally, but other than that, there's just, it's just so not something that I have normally seen, in my communities that I've lived in. Um, and so it's always been something that's been a little bit okay, maybe this is a little weird, that I like vacuum cleaners. I don't know why I do, but I do, you know. And um, it's I think, people are quite fascinated that I am interested in these machines. Um, because I've had a lot of people come to me both online and in person people I know personally and people I don't know, people I know online, you know, they come to me and they ask me, oh, okay, I'm looking for, a vacuum cleaner for my basement. Or I'm looking for a new vacuum cleaner for my whole house. We've gone through like 3 vacuums and I want something that lasts. What do you recommend? Or, I've had some people come to me and say, well, would you like to service my machine? Because, I bought it several years ago and it's lasted us a long time, but I want to make sure it keeps lasting us and stuff. You know, and I've had a lot of people who just, I think they they may not fully understand it, but they know that I know something about vacuum cleaners. And, you know, do I know everything about vacuum cleaners? No. I mean, nobody's a know-it-all. Nobody knows everything. But, um, I can tell you that, even 10 years ago, I didn't know anywhere near what I know about vacuum cleaners now. Um, I mean, I just didn't. And, I've always had an interest in them. Um, I didn't really start working on vacuum cleaners or repairing vacuum cleaners until I was probably 11, 12. So, not quite 15 years, almost 15 years um, ago. And that was just basically replacing belts on a Eureka that my parents had. Um, the the second Eureka. Um, it was a Eureka light speed design, but it was the pet version. Uh, Basically, I mean, not the greatest machine, but it was okay for what it was. Um, I basically started with replacing belts on that, um, and I didn't know exactly what I was doing at the time, but I knew how to change the belt, and I changed that belt probably a good 4 or 5 times before we finally got rid of it. Um, you know, and I bought the Shark because I thought that it was interesting. My aunt had a Shark, and I thought it would be a good machine. Well, little did I know that it was going to be high maintenance. Now, maybe it was just our house, I don't know, but I just found it to be very high maintenance, and you know, it was pleasant to use, I can tell you that, but when it came to keeping it clean and maintained, I was not a fan. Um, so, but yeah, so basically, I've been working on vacuum cleaners slowly but surely um, for a while. I mean, I've repaired vacuum cleaners for nonprofit organizations. Um, anytime there's been an issue, I've tried to repair stuff. I've replaced cords on vacuum cleaners. I've replaced belts, brush rollers, bags. Um, you know, just lots of different things. And, you know, I do enjoy it. I really do. And, um, considering that I've had this interest and joy with vacuum cleaners for 20 years plus, I don't think it's something that's going away. I mean, it's stuck with me this long. I don't think it's really going to change. Um, you know, sure, some of my views on some machines may change, but I don't think, in general, like, I would see myself just dropping vacuums and saying, oh, I just don't care anymore and I don't like them. Um, there's always something that interests me with vacuum cleaners. Um, I'm always fascinated by the design of machines. I'm always fascinated by getting them to last as long as possible. I'm always fascinated by good quality machines and just, you know, making sure that people are able to get good machines. And, you know, I enjoy that. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy educating people. I enjoy serving people in this capacity. Because, you know, I think there's some things that can help people with this passion because, let's face it, everybody has to vacuum at some point. Everyone needs a vacuum cleaner. You know, I I don't think I've ever heard of one person who has said, "Well, I just don't need a vacuum cleaner." You know, I don't think so. I mean, they're always in demand. People are always looking for them. People always need them. You know, so but I enjoy it. So so basically, that's kind of my story on what got me into vacuum cleaners and what got me to this point. Um, Hope you found this interesting. Yeah, I mean, like I said, just just a passion that has stuck around with me for almost my whole life. Um, Honestly, I don't remember not being interested in vacuum cleaners. I don't ever remember a time where that was ever the case. Um, so, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.